What's going on, traders? Yeah, I just want to get on here and share the trading day with you. Had a big CPI news event pre-market here. We got about 3 minutes till New York session opens. I got a small micro position in for micros. It's about a little less than half the size of a full contract in the minis. You know, those move at $5 a tick. This is moving at like $2 a tick. Reason I'm doing that, let me jump into the report card here. So pre-market, I'm up like 1381 between these two accounts. You know, with that CPI event, with 2 minutes left till the bell rings, you know, we just had this big push up, which, you know, that's really close to hitting the new all-time highs. And I'm hoping that when the bell rings, we get a bull run, not only to that level, but then just all day long, just a really big green day. But I'm kind of dialing down the size just because I don't want to hand back these profits. For those that are like, what the hell are you doing, Mike? This is an evaluation account with Apex. I have a discount code in the description. Basically what this is you can trade with prop firm money instead of your own money. And how you do that is you have to pass an evaluation that shows that you're profitable. On a 100K account, you have to hit 6 grand in profit before your account is passed. You pass the evaluation, then you pay an activation fee, and then you're trading with 100 grand of real capital, which you can withdraw, which you can take these profits, make them real by withdrawing them into your bank account and all that. But until you pass the evaluation, it's kind of just like biggest risk is the for 100K with my discount, I think it's like $40. This platform is called Quant Tower, which I also have a link in the description. It's free to do these evals, and so that's kind of the setup I'm using. And so we're about 9 seconds from the bell ring in here. Let me get this guy ready. I got some sound effects. Alright, and so we're off to the races. Like I said, I have this kind of a small position in, just because of the volatility that can happen at the start. And I don't want to hand back a bunch of profit if this thing sweeps to the bottom. I have a 50 tick stop loss in here. And so kind of where we're at. For anybody new, we got kind of keep an eye on this guy. Looks like one of our contracts got sold from the stop loss, but we're still in this trade with 3. The thing with Quant Tower, it's really important to keep track of your working orders, because sometimes you can get stopped out and then the order still is there, but you just can't see it for whatever reason. And when that happens, it can kind of be sketchy if you walk away from like the trading, because it can hit like as a stop loss. You know, if your stop loss or take profit is there as a working order and you get stopped out of the trade and you don't close like the take profit, it'll just be sitting there just waiting for the price to hit that area. And then if it does, then it's like kind of sucks, because then you can be in a long position when the market's kind of shitty. Yeah, it's just good to keep that up here and just flatten them all, close them all out, and be done with that. And so this is the first candle, 9:30. Kind of big back and forth so far. Oh, that's positive for our position. You know, hopefully this is racing to these highs. Let me draw everything out for everybody. Yeah, this is kind of a mental mental at this point of like keeping track of where we're at in the charts and everything. But on the daily here, you can see with that CPI news catalyst busted through this resistance zone over here. These previous highs, we busted through that, and now we're basically from here to there, 700 ticks away from record highs, which is tempting for bull run. Just hitting new highs and then just peaking even higher highs. That would be awesome. But then it's also kind of a sketchy for short. And what I mean by that, it's like you have this uptrend, 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 followed by kind of a sideways range almost. So we have this kind of zone here where price consolidated for, I don't know, since January, February, since pretty much the end of February to April, of consolidating kind of sideways. Not really huge gains or anything, but what is making me cautious about it, so say you have this kind of a support zone here, kind of at this level for the most part, maybe bring it up a little bit, but basically it's like every time price got to that zone, it tapped and then went up, tapped and went up, kind of went up. But then we had this period here where their price just broke through that level and have this like big break of structure. Even that low got broke. But we've been bouncing back with that low here. It's kind of a sign that we're moving up, but I am not 100% convinced that we're headed for new highs. I'm almost more on the camp, once it gets up 700 ticks or so, and it goes to challenge that high, kind of want to be in a short position, because a lot of times that inducement down like that on the smaller time scale, a lot of times that's a signal that the price is getting ready to go lower. But this is NASDAQ, so be open for anything, but I'm going to be abundantly cautious once it gets up to probably the 18640s, 650s. Once price really starts getting up there to challenge that previous high, if it breaks it, I mean, it's off to the races. But if it doesn't, it could have a big rejection. It could have a bunch of consolidation first. Something to be mindful of. Some of the possibilities here. But on the 3-minute chart, I kind of like the 3-minute just to step out of the smaller moves a little bit, so not to get disoriented and unconscious from the going back and forth and back and forth. But where we're sitting now looks pretty good for testing these highs over here. That'd be the first zone. I'm going to actually load up a little bit more right now as it's retracing. Now we're not at a full contract. It's a little bit weaker than a full contract, but it's moving decent. From where it's at now to that zone's 100 ticks, and that's kind of our sweet spot. Having the DOM in here today, having those like predefined stop losses and take profits. Plus, I was getting a little bit confused. I was trying to hide the account numbers because I don't know if that's important to hide those or not, which is actually almost counterproductive because it almost made it more obvious. Every time I was trying to hide them, they'd become like more obvious. I put it down, order down here, and I have the account number showing in huge font, but trade down to only 3 remaining contracts. We'll try it again. All right, let's refresh our stuff here. Let's see what we're doing. Not get carried away. I'm gonna go to the other account. We'll try to get in a receiving mode, start getting some winning streak here. And shake off the that little push to the bottom there. Because the other end of it is, this is kind of a buying zone. And I don't know why. I don't know why I can't see my order. It's really handy to see the order. There it is. To adjust the stop loss if needed. You know, because I got stopped out a couple times there fast. 50 ticks might be too small of a stop loss for the way it's ranging, but the reason I put that additional order in is just because the way it's looking on the 1 minute, it's looking like it has a new lower or a new higher low. You know, so you have this low here, and then you have a new high followed by a new low that's slightly above that one. So that's why I thought it would be a good idea to put another 4 on there. But we're not going to get crazy as far as a lot of risk at the moment, just because where we're at in this thing. I mean, we are you know, sitting pretty high up on the price. This is the highest the price has been for weeks. So don't want to get too crazy putting a bunch of contracts on when the price is the highest it's ever been. You know, I like to try to get back to like base camp every day, which is, you know, not really thinking about the P&L all that much. It's just the daily goal is 1%, $1,000 on each account. That means passing the eval in 6 trading days, basically. One of the accounts is up to almost halfway there as far as profit goes. I'm trying to resist the urge to just load up on contracts and try to do it as fast as possible. Mainly because I'm trying to just getting a rhythm of like consistency. And with like that consistency, I want to be consistently taking profits and consistently withdrawing from the market. And that doesn't mean growing an account from 100K to infinity. You know, it's more about just growing it to like 10 grand or 15 grand and withdrawing it and then starting over from zero every week, and not being like super like triggered by that, like starting over. But just like, you know, back to base camp, back to the flow. my typical strategy is to short the highs. And buy at the bottoms. Not really be overly focused on a breakout. But yeah, let's pull up the stats. You know, up almost halfway to the goal on the one count for the $1,000 1% profit target. $18,487. I like that position. Okay, there's way too many working orders. That's the thing about the working orders, you know, it's just easy to not close them and get confused about what's going on. We're going to go kind of a big risk because we're not going to, for one, small size, bigger stop loss. But the potential for this thing to bull run today, for me, it's just worth it. We got the first 15 minutes of trading New York session here. Couple losses, but they didn't like trigger a spiral, I don't think. I'm tempted to put another order in, but good thing we didn't. I'm just pulling that up so I keep track of which account is getting smacked the most here with those losses. Do one more trade on that account, and then I'll call it a day on that guy. Again, we're only doing the 4 micros, so those losses aren't nearly as bad as if they were full contracts. But still, I'm going to cancel those. Let's do a 75 tick stop loss. Actually, I'm going to get out of this position. It's kind of laggy. I don't trust what it's doing. The reason I don't trust it necessarily is just because a lot of times these will retrace, and that didn't hit a new high. So I'm actually going to short this. Change of direction here. You know, because we're at these highs, you would have thought that that one would have been the one that would have went, but and I'm only going to be in one account. Mainly just to get more of a feel of what the crowd here is wanting to do today. Had a pretty good vibe earlier in pre-market, but it's important if you're getting out of sync with what's going on is just stop what you're doing, start sizing down, stop the momentum of maybe getting agitated or frustrated. I know something I gotta work on, especially on these streams, is like trying not to force a trade just because entertainment factor. I mean, if I wasn't doing a stream, a lot of times I wouldn't even be in a trade. I'd just be sitting. But then I start thinking about people watching, and then it's like, is that boring as fuck? Just sitting watching somebody just sit. And we might be catching this move to the downside now. I mean, what, $160 something? And the first sign of weakness, we're gonna go ahead and get out of this position. Probably maybe at that 23.6 if it drops all the way down there. That was kind of being weak to me. Okay, so that was on the one account. I'm actually going to switch to and so that made it a 38.2. We get ready for a potential buy at this fib level. See how there's all those working orders that were just sitting there? There's like 6 of them. You know, part of my strategy is buying when it's scary. Actually, when there's a big streak going down, it's almost like work at training your brain to go, oh, that's a buying opportunity. Unlike most of the crowd that goes, oh, I'm going to keep chasing that downtrend down to infinity, and then, you know, instead of putting a buy at the very bottom and the price is the cheapest it's been in you know, 30-40 minutes, instead of buying then when the price is the cheapest, people will sell unconsciously, meaning like given the situation, you know, being in an auction environment, does it make sense to hope for a breakout to the downside, selling when the price is the cheapest it's ever been? Or does it make more sense to buy it when it's the cheapest it's ever been, so that when it's the most expensive it's ever been, you can sell it? That doesn't always work out. Sometimes the price will go lower and lower and lower, but so you go light trying to catch a bottom. You don't go 5 contracts deep trying to catch a bottom, but if you do some micros and you kind of 1 or 2 minis here, 1 or 2 minis there, if it's an uptrending market, all those dips are buying opportunities. That strategy doesn't work that great in sideways ranges, but it also works in downtrends too. When it's downtrending, then you sell it when the price is the highest it's been. But that's like a big part of trading, is to maintain your reasoning and like follow your game plan on some level. Again, I'm just going kind of light today. For those that are new to trading, this candle, which is a 500 tick candle basically, that was a news catalyst. That was from CPI inflation news this morning. If you're new to trading, you definitely want to be checking Forex Factory. These red folders correspond to major moves, major news events, and so when that candle shot up 500 points, that was because of these red folders at 8:30. If you're not mindful of this, you could be like, oh, 8:15, you're in an awesome position, in a short or something. Boom, that comes out. It's just a landmine. It'll destroy your position. If you don't have a stop loss, it'll wreck your account. Yellow folders, not so big of a move. We have USD, which affects the NASDAQ, because that has a actually opposite effect on the NASDAQ. When the dollar's going up, a lot of times NASDAQ's going down. Correlation is part of like a trading strategy, but looks like we're free to keep trading. Nothing at 10 o'clock that really is going to spike the market. We got 5 minutes until we get this yellow folder. Might be enough of a push to keep this bull energy going. This is like a plus setup for me, at least. You have a downtrend followed by like a, what do you call that, a morning star, or that's a doji, because it's right in the middle like that. But a lot of times that shows the change of energy from down. Then you have that first domino to fall here of a bottom. Sometimes it'll go up, and it could go up to like maybe that level and then drop as a big bull trap, but we'll just kind of see what the price does and surf it accordingly. I just did that because of, I feel like this is a really good setup. Price is cheapest it's been for the past like hour and a half. You have this rocket move up going higher. Be open to receiving today. We're not going to resist it. Got T-minus 3 minutes till 10 a.m. I'm starting to like the micros a little bit more than the minis, because you can dial it in a little bit better as far as like the risk. If you always keep like a dollar amount, like on $100,000 account, if you keep your loss to like $250 loss per trade, you can lose $250 in a couple ticks if you have a huge position size, or you can spread it amongst 100 pips or ticks, for example. And so you can kind of dial it in based on how big these moves are. So let me be clear here. So like from the bottom to the top of that candlestick wick on the 3 minute is 78 points. Maybe this is a better example. Yeah, so 78 points either way. Kind of looks to be about average for this range. Typically, you don't want to trade these little bullshit ranges. That's my strategy. I mean, some people could be trading these all day long. I don't. I try to avoid those. And so a 70 tick stop loss should give you enough breathing room. So if you're down here and then price goes against you, probably is going to snap back before hitting your stop loss. During New York, obviously these moves are bigger, and so say you trade the power hour, which I like to do. A lot of times the moves are not as volatile, but a little bit less random. We're just going to hold this position because I'm hoping it tests this high. If that does, from where we're at to that high, it's 300 points. So this could be a big trade, especially if it breaks out. But if it gets all the way up there, we're going to be really mindful of these levels too as it's going back up. Not really too concerned about this level or the 76.4 level, but since we didn't crack this high, this is kind of the high to beat. Let me change this color so it stands out differently. Do a blue, I guess. So that's not easy to see. Let me try to make that easier to see. And so now you can see at this level you get some shorts, but it's really starting to get on that momentum. But the first big breakout moment is going to be this guy testing that high. That's the newest high. And this is the newest low. We're up almost $500. Kind of the nicer part of actually about using kind of a little smaller size is you don't have to be as quick to capture some of these moves. I like keeping an eye on the P&L as far as like what the price is doing. I'm just going to get out of that and take that profit and get into a better buying position. But I also want to keep an eye on where we're at profit-wise, so I don't start over-risking. We'll just do 3. That makes it $1.50 a tick. And for now, I'm only going to be on just one account. I'm not going to risk the two. But I do like how it's kind of moving. Not so much on the 1 minute, but the 1 minute breached that high to the left. I'm gonna get both accounts. Let's see, there's just gets to be too much shit in these working orders. So that was a good spot to take profit. And now we're back into the momentum of it. Get to recapture some of that wick that that was shorted. And so now we'll just keep barreling on to this level up here. Yeah, it's easy to want to do like a full contract right now, just because of kind of the setup, but New York is really volatile, like during this time especially, and it's very easy to have a great day followed by a huge loss in New York that just wipes it, which is really shitty when that happens. And since we are getting close to our profit targets, there's no reason to get greedy and just keep hoping for this gigantic move. And so keeping an eye on these Fibonacci levels. A lot of guys take profit at these levels. And so it's not surprising if it taps it and then bounces down a little bit. But we do have to be really mindful of where we're at in the bigger picture. We're at the highest it's been. There's potential for new highs. But there's also potential for a gigantic short. So knowing that, we'll just be kind of mindful about what price is doing and keeping an eye on the P&L for like market sentiment. You know, we can see each time it moves, you know, is it starting to get more fervent, less fervent? You know, what's going on? We'll know more after it tests this level, whether or not it's going to, you know, have a really bullish day, or if it's going to just tank. I'm not as bullish as I used to be on with NASDAQ, just because of what's been going on the past couple weeks. Just close that down, see if I can get a better buying position. The reason I shut that down is just because that's the high, that's the next high, and then this is that fib level. Kind of rejected off that. I'm actually going to put a short in just for the shits of it. The shits and giggles. We'll close all those working orders for now. And this might be a little stupid to go into a short like this, but we'll do a small stop loss, 25 tick, and do it above that most recent high. The reasoning, because like a lot of times when you have these inducements down, it can be a signal of a downtrend. Not all the time. I mean, a lot of my strategy is shorting at the tops. And on the bigger picture, we're at the top. So I'm a little bit bearish on some level. I'm just gonna get out of this. I'm not gonna go back and forth like that. I'm just gonna ride out this bull wave here and stop it. Again, I'm just kind of I'm just looking at I don't keep track of that in my head where I'm at price wise or profit wise for the most part. Like a lot of times it'll like, oh, I feel like I'm doing all right, but sometimes you just gotta double check. Okay, so now we're basically triple or double topping off this previous high. Almost there for a test. Let's see, from our position to up there, that's 50 something points. Maybe what, $75? I don't like what this is doing. That double top right there off that guy was kind of weak. And I'm only doing one account, 3 micros, mainly just kind of to preserve capital at this point. We're up pretty good for the day. I like to pass these evaluations here within the next few days. You always have to be really cautious in New York session for the big. There's normally one big sweeping move. And that normally happens any minute. You know, normally happens before 10:30 with a second move before lunch. They say like 90% of traders end up losing money. I think a lot of them that trade during New York lose it during this first move. Yeah, I don't know if you'd consider from here to there to be that move. Keep an eye on the P&L to see weakness and strength. I'm okay with just breaking even on this trade too. That 3-minute candle is pretty weak. Stop loss is basically these previous highs. We'll go a little bit above it just for some breathing room, but kind of what it's doing now does not look very optimistic for upward energy. I mean, you got this, it's kind of this high over here that didn't get breached by this guy. You have a weak ass candle over here on the 3 minute. On the 1 minute, you have a new low. So I think we're just going to keep doing what we're doing here and just holding this short. Apparently I have 6 contracts going on it, which is okay. So I think it'll flush. And keep an eye on the P&L as far as this downward energy here. We're just gonna hold this. Holding winners is an important skill to practice instead of just jumping out with fear every time it bounces around. I'm gonna get out of that. I only want to be in it for 3 contracts. I'm gonna keep an eye over here and buy it at the top of the wick. We're gonna close these working orders first. And so basically getting it at the top of the wick over here. And that throws the, what is that, 50 tick stop loss at that high. I'm actually going to move it just a hair above that, because sometimes the ask and the bid can be different than what this is showing. And sometimes you can be looking at this and you can be looking at sorry, I got distracted by that move there, and now I lost my train of thought. But yeah, sometimes the candlestick can be showing kind of like, oh, like price is right in here, but sometimes the ask and bid can be, the spread can be a little bit big, and like it could show it's like right here, but then the stop loss too close to the ask or the bid or whatever, and then it stops you out. I'm just going to keep holding this. Get on the 3 minute here. This chart's starting to become a hodgepodge of too many colors. Doesn't that look like a clusterfuck? Looks like a scatterbrain over here. But that's more for the sake of everybody else to see the same kind of stuff. This isn't really going down very much. I was hoping for a big move down. Every moment it dawdles up here at the peak without a big flush, I'm just going to get out of it, because I'm thinking it's now going to be a good time to buy, just because it's not getting that move down. Yeah, the biggest move down was that guy, and as far as like risk to reward goes, I mean, with a 50 tick stop, we're beneath that guy now, and we have this upside potential at the top of the fib for a breakout. And like I said, we're going kind of small today. Doesn't mean small profits though. That's something to remember. You know, there's almost like a stigma of like trading micros versus minis. Oh, you're not a real trader unless you're trading full-size contracts at $5 a tick. But then at the end of the session, it's like, oh, well, with your full contract, you made what, $500? With all these minis, where are we up 1,000? Right now, we're kind of hoping for a breakout, breaking out of these highs. Looks like it's doing. I'm gonna take the take profit off the equation here, because if it starts running, now it's like going for that new high. Okay, so over here, it just broke that high. A very optimistic sign for bullish energy to test this high up here. And for those that can't see what I'm doing, let me make it nice and big. Basically this top of this fib level. From where we're at to the top of that, and our position size, it's a 100-point move. Well, it's kind of retracing a little bit. I'm gonna put another position in. Mainly because, now that it breached out, it's got nowhere else to test other than that pre-market high. For those that are kind of new to trading and everything, before 9:30 is considered pre-market, and that's when a lot of news events happen, like 8:30. And so kind of have to go to the bathroom here, but we're like right in the middle of a good trade. Hoping for that breakout move. And see the P&L jumping, kind of as an indicator showing kind of movement towards the upside here, even though the candle might not necessarily reflect that as easily. I mean, now we're up to 120. It almost doesn't really look like that big of a difference, as it's bobbling around up here, but it kind of lets you catch a vibe for the auction environment that we're in. And the interesting thing about auctions is, sometimes people are not rational at all during an auction. Case in point would be like people that auction like a $20 bill. Many times, people get so emotional about it that they are willing to spend more than $20 for a $20 bill. Don't ask me why, but I think a lot of that's the unconsciousness that can start to happen when you start chasing, for one. Chasing, and then wanting to be right, wanting to win. A lot of times that can just be our default. This is how we act without training. I'm going to close this guy and wait for a better buying position. Let's see how we're doing. How we're doing kind of depends on how much risk we're going to do. So we're up on the day $1,829. Both accounts. $1,000 is about the goal, 1%. So really close on the one, decent on the other. And we're gonna just keep doing a small risk. We're gonna do both of them. Small risk. And basically what we're hoping with this last trade here, it's 1020. We're up pretty good. Small risk. Hoping for that breakout. Yeah, basically this is just a breakout move. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on here. As far as potential, we got a new high. We got a new high over here. Very bullish energy up until this point. We got a low with a new low that's higher than the previous. You know, with where we're at, just in the NASDAQ charts, you know, the potential for like a breakout, new high, new all-time high day for NASDAQ is every tick higher, it gets closer to that. And for those that haven't seen like a big NASDAQ breakout, it's fucking awesome. And hopefully I can capture that on a live stream for you guys, because how fast it moves when everybody is in harmony that, oh, this is an uptrend, oh, this new highs. It's seriously just like everybody just goes vroom, and then does a trailing stop and just walks away and just cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching for the day. And we're at the move now. So either it gets a breakout or it doesn't. The shorts in the room here, looking at this as a possible shorting opportunity. The reason being is because you could short it and then you could have a small stop loss above that guy of 30 ticks to make huge. You know, so the temptation to short it is really strong. But anybody that's fucked with NASDAQ for a while, if that thing pops, you know, it can really race against you, and it's not the best time in the world to short at all-time highs. It's really sketchy and dangerous. Yeah, you could catch a big move to the downside, but you could be sitting here and this thing could blast 100 ticks or points or whatever like that. It's nuts. Keep an eye on the 1 minute to what it's doing here. I'm just gonna get out of it. I actually think I'm gonna short it, because that would be following my game plan better. Not shooting for a breakout, but catching the freaking short. Because if this guy closes a big bearish candle at this high, that's a very big rejection. And we might catch a huge move down to the downside. For the reasons I kind of described, because you can, you know, because now we got 3 contracts and 3 contracts. We can put the stop right there, right above that level. 10:30. Yeah, anything can happen now. But it was just starting to get weak. We got a new low. A little bit lower than that previous. 1 second. So the 3 minute just closed bearish. The 1 minute just closed. What was that? What do you call that? The three counting crows? That ain't what it is. We got 3 bearish candles right at this high. Does that mean it will drop? I don't know. You know, I've seen it both ways, where it just bounces. It could flush straight down. It could just take off. But that's, to me, not even double tapping that top. Highly highly suspect for a reversal, especially with this in mind, this inducement down. The thing with trading is you have to be almost like fishing. I mean, you can't be married to throwing your lure in one spot just hoping that it'll catch a fish. I mean, you have to adjust what you're doing based on the crowd, because we are not doing this in a vacuum. This is an auction environment, and in an auction environment, it's like if you don't hit that previous high, and it's the choice is, do you load up a couple contracts at the highest price it's ever been, hoping for a breakout, especially with this kind of non-impressive kind of dawdling around right now. Not saying it can't just boom and then take off, because it can, but the longer it sits up here and starts moving the P&L ever so slightly in our direction, the longer it's doing that in the present moment. You know, we got 2 minutes till 30-minute candlestick closes, 15-minute candlestick closes, the 5. Really boils down to this move right here. If this guy closes weak, you got 18 seconds. Over the next series of candles here, 1 or 2, if this thing shows weakness, so you got a new low, then the move up higher to go to this now, this candlestick, that's weak as fuck to me. You got a doji. A doji is when the candlestick is in the middle with a small little space between the open and close. It's a sign of indecision. And a lot of times indecision is followed by a change of direction as people lose faith in what they're doing. We got the 1030 candlestick. Yeah, that looks weak as shit too on the 1 minute. So now we have a high that's not even close to the previous high. We'll see what happens. We have a stop loss in anyway. It'll probably be the last trade, just because I don't want to spend a bunch of like the profit that we've made dicking around at the top of this thing. I'm about to have to take a freaking leak like a racehorse, and it's like, oh my gosh, make your move already. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave in suspense and see what it does while I'm gone. I'm going to play just... For those that aren't aware, you know, I've been producing music for over a decade, mostly in the music licensing arena, you know, for television and film and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm just going to play something so I don't trigger a copyright thing. Not really going to. I'll just do this. I don't even know what this is. I'm getting old. I will be back. Alright folks, we're back. Close that down. Okay, we're going to close out of that guy. Check our stats for the day, see how we're doing. Oh crap. Man, I guess we're in a trade again. Again, this is the thing with Quan Tower. If you don't close those working orders, now you can be in a position that may suck. You know, this might work out because it looks like a breakout, but we're at new highs. And this will be the last trade, everybody. Kind of unintentional trade, but that's okay. We'll be in the receiving mode. Hopefully catch a big winner here. Could be. Let's get a bigger picture of what's going on. Let me double check my microphone here is on. I turned up the microphone so that it's hitting a little bit louder today. Let me know if it's too much or what. Try to keep the volume and everything consistent. We get on the daily here, or 4 hour. So all-time high, 18,718. We're gonna keep that as like the finish line here. I'm going to take profit here, wait for a better position. I'm going to go a little bit bigger actually. But we're going to wait for this thing to drop as low as we can get it. I'm going to watch what it's doing. And this is half size. This is $2.50 a tick. So $5, it's moved 2 ticks, 3. Kind of keep an eye on the price action like that. Each time you see it move $2.50, that is a huge jump. I just going a little bit heavier just because of the breakout. And the time that it is and everything else. Yeah, as you kind of get better at trading, you can kind of dial in the sizes a little bit better to match like a game plan, and not, you know, if we were at one contract right now, we'd be up $160. We'd double it basically. just have to be very mindful and cautious about what we're doing at the top of the hill here after a breakout, not to get swept away by the ideas that will never get turned around. So we are highest price that we've been all day, including the big 500-point news catalyst this morning. Very high potential for challenging those previous highs. And you gotta be able to hold winners longer than you hold losers, which can be intense because you can see you be in profit and then it kind of moves back on you. I'm just keeping an eye on the P&L to see what the sentiment is at the moment. We keep seeing flickers of it going into higher levels of profit, then it's a good sign it's still pretty bullish. A lot of times those retracements, you can look at those as buying opportunities so you don't become freaked out by them. And we're kind of creeping up there. This is getting kind of weak. I might short it just because of how weak it is. With a two contract risk. Only on one account. And part of the strategy is to short it at the highest it's ever been, not continue to double down on hoping it just goes up into infinity for a breakout that is going to be that big grand slam. Double check how we're doing. So that one account is down a little bit. Maybe this guy. We'll just keep doing what we're doing, a small risk to reward here. I just don't trust that it won't sweep down. Especially during New York session. It can trick you. Okay. I'm starting to chase this a little bit too much. Going big on this breakout. And by big, half the size. 250 a move here. And this will be my last trade. I'm starting to become too reactive. I'm going to practice the art of walking away and not over trading. You can see from down here to where we're at now, we've been kind of grinding up about 500 points. Yeah, if I don't get that big breakout move, I'm just gonna be done. I don't want to overtrade and hand back a lot of profits for today. But it's so tempting to get drawn into the siren song of the NASDAQ bull run. Kind of starting to think about going. Like, it's worth it to me to hold it just because I've experienced some of these NASDAQ just bull runs. Especially during New York session here, but really not impressed by these moves here. These indecisiveness. I think I'm going to short it one more time. Just seems like it's just petering out. I'm doing again a half contract size. 250 a tick. Again, kind of just going smaller just to protect the profits that we've gotten so far today. It's tempting to just like put a huge position in right now. Needs to be so careful of NASDAQ in particular. Once it hits a new high, sometimes it will just flush. I'm gonna hold this a little bit longer. Probably cash out at $100. We'll just see what the momentum starts doing. I'm just gonna. Why is my shit so laggy? We're gonna see if that's the catalyst to go higher or not. I'm just gonna start being in a shorting mode. Mainly because of the time. It's almost 11. As the day progresses, less and less traders are in here. I'll short that. And so there's not normally, as the trading session goes on, the volume starts to dwindle. So the amount of people in the auction are not as many. Not to say it can't just have this big bull run, because it could. My strategy is just involves shorting the tops. And try to stick with it. It's really tempting to want to just keep catching breakouts. I know that's something I struggle with. Less and less as I see that it's not effective. It's almost like you have to just learn it from experience that, hey, as much as you think this works, just becoming emotional and just going for the big breakout move. And so keep an eye on the 3 minute and the 1 minute. We'll see what it see how this candlestick on the 1 minute closes. We got like 30 something seconds. But part of like the strategy I like doing, so everybody's thinking breakout, then short. If everybody's thinking it's going to fall off a cliff and chase that breakout to the lower end, buy. Kind of do the opposite of what 90% of people are unconsciously doing. And by that I mean just chasing instead of going, hey, should I, the price is as high as it's ever been for the past like 2 weeks, should I go for a buy? If you would have asked me an hour ago, would I want to buy multiple contracts at 18,570? I would just say, no. But now that we have a big move up there, then it's like, well, yeah, that seems like I want to chase it for a big breakout. We got 20 something seconds left of the 3 minute candle. A lot of options traders trade 3 minute charts, from what I hear at least. I've been getting more into it mainly because it helps me avoid getting chopped up by little moves. Like on the 1 minute chart, if you're just going back and forth and not being decisive of like, oh, I'm just gonna hold it at this position. If you're going, I'm on the wrong side of it, you just go back and forth and back and forth, and but the longer it doesn't drop, it's also true. It's just like it's not being able to get pushed down. the longer it consolidates, the more likely it is going to reverse. On the 1 minute, consolidation means going sideways. And this is what going sideways looks like. See how for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, price has just been going back and forth between this range. That's where, if you're on the 1 minute chart and you're not committing to anything besides those little moves, I mean, you can trade these little moves. You know, they're 20-point moves. You can do 10 contracts, 20-point move, that's $200. But, you know, the longer it kind of sits in the sideways ranging, not all the time, but a lot of times that shows the uptrend might be starting to turn around. I mean, you combine that with the fact that it's like highest prices it's been. It's almost 11 o'clock. A lot of people are getting ready to dip out for lunch, waiting for that last little New York City money shot. Everybody's kind of wondering, is the move up or down? Sideways range is a sign of indecision. From indecision, you get about 50-50 odds. It's either going to go up or down. We'll see what happens at 11 o'clock. If this doesn't start dropping, I mean, it's starting to get a little bit more energy going up. Just close all these working orders. Got a new breakout. I'm going to see if that drops back down. I'm just going to close this position. We're going to call her a day. Actually, one more bull run attempt. One more bull run. I couldn't resist. This might be enough of a catalyst to get this thing really shaken. This might be a trailing stop day. Close out. Let's just see where we're at for the trading here. I'm starting to trade like an idiot. Going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Oops, wrong button. What am I doing? Okay. We're just going to call this a day. Up $708 on the one account, $833 for the day. This account here is the power hour account, so I'm not trading that in the morning. Just kind of see our stats here. Not the greatest in the world, but 52% win ratio, 58%. Not too bad, you know. Close to our 1% goal for the day. But I think we're gonna just call it quits. I might get on my Darwin X account and focus a lot of this degenerate wanting to catch this big move energy. I need that kind of stuff to focus this energy instead of just getting over trading on these evaluation accounts, because we want to pass the evaluation so that that we become funded, so that we're trading with real money and we're able to withdraw it and kind of get in a flow of that. And I want to be able to show that to you whoever's watching these streams that for one, passing the evaluation, but then two, getting the funded account and getting withdrawals and all that stuff to make the skill set into a tangible thing that others can see, because the evaluations on some level is fake, but at the same time, it's none of it's real. It's if you know how to do this on an evaluation, you can do it in the funded account too. And it's just a matter of just conquering the dumb shit that we do, chasing, oversizing, all those kinds of things that affect our stats in a bad way. One of the things I have an issue with is like oversizing, and by oversizing, I'm not talking like 2 or 3 contracts. It's like, oh, I'm feeling really impatient. I just want to pass this evaluation. Let's just do 10 contracts. Try to trade the evaluations no differently than you would trade the funded accounts, because part of like the abundance mindset is not in hurrying and rushing and I need to do all this, and it's more about going with the flow, being in the receiving mode, whether you make profit today, not, so if you have a successful red day, it's successful green days too. I mean, keeping your mind on success is really important, because you could have a big P&L day but have an unsuccessful green day by over leveraging, getting lucky, gambling, kind of those things that you can't replicate with consistency. There's shit that happens like not closing an order, catching a news event, and all of a sudden just being up huge by accident. Those are awesome mistakes. Not so much when it's instead of like a big winner, it's a big loser, and it's just from not closing shit, not being not improving those little things is important. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna bounce. I appreciate everybody liking, sharing, subscribing, all the social networking things. Let me jump in the chat before I bounce, make sure, see if anybody's in here or not. Doesn't look like it. I appreciate you guys, trading along with me. I got the links for the Quan Tower platform, which I'm using, links to the evals for Apex. Like I said, you can get like 100K eval for like $40, I think, with my discount, which, for $40, if you're trading all week, not oversizing and everything and just burning through $40, if you're able to go slow, take your time with it, a $40 investment to learn a skill that basically can stay with you, I feel like is a good value, and actually protects your real money from emotional decisions, because if you lose the account, it's only $40, whereas if you're trading futures like this, I think Quan Tower, you can fund it with your own capital. It's easy to start to just get into the swing of it. Next thing you know, it's like lost $300 on over leveraging, emotional decisions, and you could have saved yourself that kind of heartbreak by just doing an evaluation. Because once you get good at the evaluations, then that's really a blessing to be able to trade with this kind of capital, because you don't need much return to make substantial amounts of money that can free you from like a lot of these inflation dramas that a lot of people are dealing with. You can work from home anywhere. There's a lot of benefits to it. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys and gals. Until Power Hour, basically. God bless.